Hey everybody, my next guest is a staple here on the Long Island comedy scene. He was once the winner of New York City's Best New Comic of 2012, and his likable stage presence and original humor kept audiences captivated and always satisfied. Here he is, the one and only Mike Keegan. Mike, what's up, buddy? How you doing, man?
Not too much, Don. How are you? Good to be here.
Good, man. Good. I love the background you got rocking there.
Thank you very much. There's stuff going on back there nobody wants to see. So
I hear you, man. I hear you. So I see that you've been looking good. You've been losing some weight. What's been the method to the madness? How you doing it, man?
yeah, I'm very ill. I no, I you know what I lost about since the middle of August, probably about 75, almost 80 pounds now.
God bless, man.
Thank you. I feel good. What happened was in August I had hernia surgery. I've had this hernia for it got to be over 10, 12 years probably. I used to work at Home Depot. I got it lifting some stuff up and it was the size of like a pebble.
Belly
And then
button
all of
one?
a sudden, belly button one. And
Yeah,
then, over the years, it became the size of like almost a baseball. So
yeah.
it was never painful, just very intrusive. So I'm like, all right, let me just get it taken care of. So I got the surgery. They went in there. And before the surgery, I wasn't allowed to, was on a liquid diet for like a week and I stopped drinking. And when I was drinking, I'd go to comedy shows, and then afterwards I'd have a couple of drinks, and then I'd go to Taco Bell on the way home. So once I got the surgery, I kind of just cut all that out, and I didn't drink from the middle of August till New Year's Eve. And that kind
Wow.
of really just I started moving around a little bit more, and
It's amazing what the alcohol can do. Some beers
yeah,
or whatever, or for me, like I drink a lot of Jack Daniels and
yeah,
that kind of stuff. It
yeah,
it definitely adds on. It's always crazy too that it takes something like that, like a hernia or like a really
yeah.
bad cold or something or the flu to
Exactly.
get you kick started.
Exactly. You know what? It was a good kickstart because I wanted to, obviously get into some shape. And then I had the hernia surgery. It turns out I had two hernias. I had one that I didn't even know about. There were two of them that he repaired. And he said, "Oh, one of them wasn't even getting a bloodline. I'm surprised you weren't in severe pain." I'm like, I
Wow.
never felt any pain, but
Yeah.
I'm like, I just feel better after I had it. And then, like you said, the drinking wasn't really the issue. Like, I'm not a big drinker, but I'd be at shows, I'd have a couple of drinks, but then afterwards on the ride home, I'd have Taco Bell, McDonald's, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Have
yeah,
you
now
cut out all the fast food now too?
just about, yeah, just about. Now, if I do like fast food, I'll get it without the bun or something, but I rarely do the fast food anymore.
Yeah, dude, I've been battling a yo-yo dieter, as they say. I'm always up and down, and
Yeah,
it's tough. It's not easy, man. Like I'll go a long time without fast food, and
yeah,
then all of a sudden, once I don't know when it happens or why. It's not like I ever really crave it, but then once that breaks, then it's fast food like every day.
exactly. Yeah, I know.
So stay strong,
Exactly.
man.
Yeah, yeah, it's good. I feel better, and it just motivates me not to have that garbage anymore. So,
Are you on like any like specific diet, or are you just kind of staying away from the bad shit and kind of?
nothing specific. I cut out most of my carbs and sugar, and I stay with about like 1,000 calories a day, 1,000 or less.
Have you tried
So
the fasting stuff? I talked to Mike Nicolia at the Christmas party, and he got
yeah,
me going with the fasting and drinking a lot of like a shit ton of water, like a gallon a
yeah.
day or something.
Yeah, I'm drinking a lot of water. The fasting I tried on and off, but it didn't really work because then I'd fast and it would be good, and then when I ate, I would just eat like a horse.
Right, that's
You
what
know,
I'm doing now.
I'm like, all right, I didn't eat for 12 hours, so let's see how many pizzas I could shovel
Yeah, it's
down.
like, hey, this is my time. I got a little window here where stuff my face. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
But it seems like a lot of people in your comedy circle have been dieting, losing some weight. I know Saliani, Jeff Bosey, even your
Yeah.
girlfriend Carlos. Everybody seems to be kind of
Carl,
losing weight, so that's a good
yeah,
thing, man.
Carl's been doing good. There's less of us now. I think Bosey kickstarted it. We're all like, if Bosey could do this shit, we all can.
I know when I see pictures of Bosey in the gym, I actually get inspired. I'm like, if this guy's freaking taking the time, I'm gonna get to the damn gym, man.
I know exactly. What's my excuse?
But you look great, man. You can even see it like in your face and everything. And yeah,
Thank
God bless you, dude. Keep it going. You know, stay the course, brother. You're doing great, man.
Appreciate it.
And it's true what they say. It's like a lifestyle change. You know, it's you gotta guess that's got to be a new life now. You know.
It really is. You know, like I had a joke, like even before I was losing the weight, just like, you know, when I would go to Weight Watchers and they would always say that same exact sentence, this is a lifestyle change. I'm like, not really. I'm eating broccoli instead of bacon now. I'm not blowing guys on the Jersey Turnpike. But it is a lifestyle change.
It is, because it changes your thinking too. Like, you know, like if you, for instance, if you go home every day from the club and you stop at Taco Bell, that was part of your old lifestyle. Now you're like, all right, I'll go home and I'll eat, like, you know, the broccoli or whatever whatever's healthier. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a protein bar when I get home. Like, who am I?
But it's great. Once you see the results, it gets easier.
Yeah, that's what it is. It motivates you.
Yeah, because then you're like, yeah, man, this is where I want to be.
Yeah.
Dude, for a long time, for me, one of my biggest problems is I would lose weight, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then once people started noticing and complimenting, that's when I would go, all right, hey, I guess, you know, it's okay for me now to, you know, drive through McDonald's now, you know. So don't do that.
That was always my problem too. I'd step on the scale and be like, oh, I lost 4 pounds this week. I'm gonna reward myself. You know?
Exactly. Exactly, man. But no, like I said, congrats on that. You're doing great. And
thank you.
I am thankful for the bulgogi beef hero at Parkside Deli.
Okay.
Which is phenomenal.
Mike just said he's thankful for bukkake.
Also, you got the show now, the podcast. You've been in the podcast game for a long time with the last show, you know, Domestic Disturbance, and now you're Hershey and the KEEGS. You guys are kicking some ass on there. Tell me a little bit about the Hershey and the KEEGS show. How did that thing get started?
Yeah, we're really having a lot of fun with it. Like you said, I loved doing the podcast. We did Domestic Disturbance. That was me and Saliani and Carla. But I'll tell you, you know, we tried to cover current events and politics, and me and Carla had broken up several times over arguments we had on the podcast. I'm like, I don't need this. I'm like, I do this for fun. I don't need stress.
Trump a comment, you know, say this, and then you're gonna say, no, you're wrong, and make a snarky comment. Nobody
sit and roll around in your ignorance.
To hear this.
Fine. I'm okay with that.
How about one at a goddamn time, please?
How about this episode sucks? This is fucking boring. When is this over?
So it didn't work out. Her and Tim have their podcast with Rich Rita. They're having fun. And I wanted to get back into doing a podcast after we stopped doing it. And I was thinking of just doing my own thing. And then Mark Hirschman called me up and he said, listen, I've wanted to do a podcast for a couple of years now. And Mark is very meticulous and he's anxiety riddled. So he's like, I've been stressing out for over a year who I want to have on the podcast with me. And, you know, we have a bunch of friends that are in comedy and very successful comedians. But he goes, listen, the last couple of shows that we did, we have a great dynamic in the green room. You know, we bust each other's chops. We bust everybody else's chops. He's like, if I'm going to do it, you know, I want to do it with you because we just have fun and a good dynamic. So, you know, we have fun. We're trying to build a little following. That's, you know, we've done it already. You know, we have a little bit of a listenership.
Yeah.
And we're just really basically having fun. Like, he does all the work because he's a maniac. And
I think that's part of the dynamic, though. And also, I mean, for him to contemplate who he wanted as his co-host for a year. Yeah. That's an honor that he chose you. That means he gave it some real deep thought, man.
It is. And, you know, anybody else that said that to me, I'd be like, all right, you're full of crap, you know? Like, you know, but him, I believe it. I believe charts and graphs in his basement.
He's got like all the headshots of everybody that was, you know.
Exactly. It's like an FBI investigation. Yeah. Wires connecting each.
Pros and cons next to everybody. Yeah, like
exactly. Yeah, like you said, with anybody else, I'd be like, yeah, whatever. But him, I'm like, yeah, he probably did rigorously think about this for over a year.
Hi, I'm Hershey.
And I'm the KEEGS.
And together we're Hershey and the KEEGS Show.
We're going on a year of this show now. We wanted to thank all of you for making us as popular as we've been. If you haven't given us a chance yet, we hope that you do. We are on every single week, Tuesdays, 9 p.m., right here, Governor's Comedy Club radio studio.
I think you guys got a good dynamic, and it is because you're the laid back guy. You're more laid back. You kind of come in, you could riff, you could pivot, you could go with the flow. He's more like, bullet points, and you have to go by.
He comes in with a notebook every week with stuff. Yeah. And I feel like I'm not doing anything because I'm like, I brought my bottle of water and my phone. I don't know.
But everybody has their own different style, their different way of doing it. Like I believe a guy like you, because I think we're similar in that regard. You are prepared, even though you walk in unprepared, if that makes any sense.
You're exactly right. I think about it during the day. I don't write it down, but like I'm good at working off what he does also. Like you said, like I don't write stuff down because every idea that I've ever pitched to Mark, he's like, nah, that sucks. So I'm like, you know what? Not gonna pitch any ideas. I'm gonna show up and just work off what he does.
Yeah, just go take the lead from him and then just spin off of it and have fun with it. That's it.
Exactly.
That's how the best thing works. And that's how some of the best stuff comes. Because if you two guys were together brainstorming all the time and then you came up with a formula and brought that to the podcast, it would dilute it. It would make it it would be rehearsed and a little boring.
I feel exactly. I agree because it would be contrived, and I can't work like that. Like even when I'm doing comedy, like I like to I know kind of what I'm going to say when I'm going up there, but I want it to sound conversational and not contrived. So.
Right? Yeah.
I make my way to the bar, and he's sitting there in that goddamn seat, perched there. He's got his glass of wine, and I get approached immediately by somebody who says, we're looking forward to coming on to the podcast. And I'm like, whose podcast? They're like, your podcast. I'm like, oh, is that right?
I was interviewing people to be on our
I don't know.
podcast.
I'm like, what the fuck? So he's like, this lady's going to come on, or at least I told her she was.
And even like when you come up, a lot of times you start the show off with like a little rhyme or something that you come up with. I love those because they feel like you literally just came up with it off the top.
That's literally all the work I do all week. That's my one obligation. Sometimes I'll pull in the parking lot and be like, oh shit, I forgot to think of something, and I'll come up with it. But that's my one job on the show.
It is Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Hey, what do you say? Yum, yum, get you some. It is the Hershey and the KEEGS show. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Yeah, that's great, man. I love what you guys are doing. I love the show. You guys are great together, and you got some really good guests on there throughout the year or so, because you guys just had your 1 year anniversary and all that stuff too. So that's great.
Yep. Yeah.
And now there's the big mystery that we need to get assigned a private eye on. This thing is what happened to the sign.
And like I said, Mark is a psychopath. He is so obsessed with this, and obviously I'm concerned. I'm like, what did happen with it? But Mark like literally started an investigation. He's interviewing people. When Tony told us the banner was missing, Mark was there within 30 minutes.
Wow.
To look in the parking lot and search. He was interviewing people that work at the dairy barn next door to Governor's. He's like, I spoke to the girl there, and I've known her for years. And I'm like, can I look in your trash? Can I look? She's like, no, I'm not gonna let you in our locked trash area, whatever. And so Mark's like looking all over, and he's asking people, and he knew a friend that was there that night to see Vic DiBattista, and his friend said that the banner was up that night, but then they left and it was gone.
Oh wow.
So it was a very windy. It was a weekend of high wind that the weekend. So Tony's like, it must have blown away, but Mark's like, yeah, but it disappeared after the heavy wind, so somebody must have took it.
It is strange. Oh, go ahead. And now, okay.
Tony called us the other day and said Jeff Bosey called into his show and said that he has the banner in the back of his van. Now, if he really did take it, fine, but don't ever tell us that you're for real, because Mark already ordered another banner and was for $85. Mark will murder Jeff if he actually does have it. So
yeah, I don't know if Bosey has it or not. I don't think he does. I think Bosey would know how far to take a joke.
Exactly.
But I do think that it is like, for me, if I was in your guys' shoes, I would be like, well, all the other signs are still there. The only sign
Yeah.
that blew away was ours. I would think
Exactly.
that somebody definitely took it, ripped it down, or whatever. But then the question is, what's the motive? Why would somebody do that?
I know. And it just so happens that it disappeared 3 days before Carla was starting her new podcast at the station. And she's she's always looking to get on her shit. So I don't know. I noticed Tony and Joey Petroni still have their banner up, no problems. They weren't even torn down a little bit. So and we
Yeah,
were in the middle too. So ours was in the middle.
we gotta figure this out. I would love for there to be like somebody to find it, or if someone does have it, to show it, or something to closure. You guys need closure.
Exactly. I hope it's found, and I hope it was just that it blew away somewhere. And I hope that somebody didn't take it, because Mark will absolutely lose his mind. He's a crazy person.
I know. I've watched a few of the Knock 'em Dead shows, and Mark would call in, and you could tell that he's like not having fun about. Like, he's serious. He wants.
He's not playing it up for. He's not playing it up for the shows.
Right.
I literally get frantic text messages several times a day. Like the day that the day that Bosie told Tony that he had it, I was driving up to Elmira, New York, and I'm in the car, and Mark is incessantly text messaging me. He's like, I think Bosie has it. Can you call him? Can you get in touch with him? Are you following the conversation with Tony? I'm like, I'm driving 4.5 hours away. I'm in a car right now. Leave me alone. I'll call you when I get there. And it was crazy. He's like, I don't know what I'll do if Bosie really has it.
I don't think he does. I haven't heard from Bosie. I don't think. Have you guys heard from him at all?
Mark sent a pretty nasty DM on Facebook to Bosie. He's like, Jeff, do you have our banner? And if so, why have you waited so long to tell anybody about it? And Bosie, he's playing around. So I'm like, Mark, I really think he's screwing with us. I don't really think he has it.
Yeah.
And Mark's, I wrote at one point, I'm like, LOL, because Bosie said, well, I spoke to Keegan. He said I didn't mind if I borrowed it for a couple of weeks. And I wrote, LOL, I don't remember saying that. Was I drinking? And Mark just writes back in all caps, I'm not LOLing.
That's freaking great. It's look, for outsider's point of view, who's like taking this on, like, for me, like as entertainment purposes, this is fun. This is a fun mystery that I want to see it get solved, though.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. For all we knew, it blew down. There's always kids hanging out in that parking lot too, I'm sure. And one of those kids that always hangs out in that parking lot is Mark's daughter. So I'm thinking it was like some of her friends, because she goes right over to Division. So I was thinking, one of her friends, like, I stole your dad's poster, and now we're gonna draw a Hitler mustache on it, whatever.
Right. And the thing too is, if let's just say it's a kid, he tears it down as a joke, but then you see how mad your friend's father is. You're like, oh shit, let's destroy the evidence now. We don't want to get caught. You're never gonna get it back. Because they're afraid to fess up at this point.
Yeah, but whoever has it isn't coming forward.
But now you guys ordered a new one, and you got like chain link it, like lock it on there or something.
Mark ordered these little locks to put it on there too. Because he saw that Joey Petroni had these little like metal hooks that were keeping his secure. Mark's like, I'm ordering those and blah blah blah. And so we'll see.
I gotta order it.
But now I think it's just a target. As soon as it goes up, somebody's gonna be messing with us and take it down right away.
Ooh. I don't know who would do that, like, because now like, you know what I mean? That's
I know several people who,
that's like really pushing the poking the bear at that point.
It really is.
That's
I might even do it just to mess with Hersh.
That would be great if you did it. Got them all steamed up, and then on the show you pull it out or something. That would be great. But man, like I said, man, hope you guys get to the bottom of that thing. But I love the show, and I love that you guys are still part of the Govs family and doing that out of there. That's awesome. Now
we wouldn't do it anywhere else. Governors has always been so good to us, especially me over the years, and I love Tony. I love being on the same station because we become like a family with you and Tony and Bosie and Rita, Carla, Tim, and so we just want to try to help out and build up a good thing that they have going there.
It's definitely a good group of people, and it's becoming a real like scene, like comedy scene. You know, feels like, you know what I mean. Like the stories you hear about the old days, it kind of feels like we're kind of creating something along those lines for our generation. So that's pretty cool.
Went to my first lesbian wedding when I was single. Never went to a lesbian wedding before. It was one of my best friends that I grew up with. Just didn't know what to expect. Never went to one before. But it was beautiful. It was like any other wedding I'd ever been to. The ceremony was beautiful. The reception was beautiful. The softball game was very competitive. This haircut, I got 4 phone numbers. And everyone's like, what the fuck is Chaz Bono doing on third base?
We're in some crazy times, man. Every day in the news, something crazy happens. I know you're like, you lean on the conservative side of things. I don't think it's in your act too much, though, right? You don't really bring that to the stage.
Not really. I'll make a couple little comments, and you could tell kind of where I am. But I'm like, what do I know? I'm dumb. You know, I'll tell you, I was just doing a show Monday night, like I said, upstate in Elmira, New York, and I do a joke about Carla, my girlfriend, being very liberal. And as soon as I said hardcore liberal, people start clapping. I'm like, oh shit, I better not finish this joke. But like, you know, so I do lean conservative, but I don't really try not to do politics in the act. You know, I just try to make fun of everything that's going on in the world on both sides. It's crazy.
Yeah, and it's tough these days. I mean, I feel like it's tough to be a conservative outwardly in this day and age, because it feels like the world is very liberal, and this, you know what I mean? Most conservatives, that's the definition of conservative, really, is just to be quiet and kind of mind your business. So conservatives got to stay quiet. And the liberals are the loud ones going, shut up, and they scream and yell, even if they're on the podium, you know.
Yep, you're right.
It's not fair. You're racist.
Yep, I can't tell you how many times, like, I'll make a joke. I made a joke about the Black Lives Matters. I made a joke about the marches that they were having and the protests, and it was a self-deprecating joke. It was, I would never go to a Black Lives Matter march only because it looks like way too much cardio. And that was the joke.
Right.
So the woman gets up, she goes, "You're a racist," walks out and starts writing on the Facebook page of the venue how I was a racist and I shouldn't be allowed in there.
Wow.
It's crazy. And that's the liberals. I got to be loud and hate everything and make everything offend me.
Yep, exactly. And if you disagree with them, right, then you're one of your, you know, racist, sexist, misogynist, whatever it is, whatever the joke applies to, whatever you are, that
You're
you
that
know?
Exactly. They love labeling people.
But dude, isn't it crazy how, okay, so let's just say most of the public people are, you know, are liberals, but isn't it crazy how the conservative stuff always proves right?
It does.
I mean, even if I'm just like, you know, just let's say I'm an outsider looking in, it always seems that conservatives turn out to be correct every time.
Every time. It's just, a year ago, I'm a conspiracy theorist, and now everyone's like, oh, yeah, you know what? That was kind of right. No, it was absolutely right. And it's like every time.
And there's no apology. Like now we're finding out about the, you know, with the where coronavirus came from. It was leaked in a lab. But if you said that 2 years ago, you'd be taken off of Twitter. You'd be shamed, mocked, canceled.
100%.
And there's no apology.
Yeah, look at this week. Lori Lightfoot, they get her out of office. She loses by a landslide in this re-election. And right away she goes, oh, it's because I'm a Black woman. It's because I'm a lesbian. It's racist. It's misogynist. Meanwhile, you can't hear her talking through all the gunshots in the background. Chicago is the crime went up literally 50%.
Yeah, it's crazy.
In 2 years.
Obviously, we didn't win the election today, but I stand here with my head held high and a heart full of gratitude.
It's crazy, but like you said, I think it's smart for you to at this time to not bring it on the stage.
Yeah.
because like you said, when you're traveling around, going to different cities or different towns all around the area here, like you're going to Connecticut, Jersey, you're going all over the place, right? You're traveling.
Yeah.
You don't know. You don't want to. At this point, you have to just. And your act is so great on its own without that stuff. Just
Thank
talk
you.
about your life and your family and
Thank you.
stuff.
Yeah, and that's always just what I wanted it to be. If I originally had set out to be a kind of a political commentary comic, and I'm so for free speech. I mean, that's what I would do, but it's really not my act. It doesn't fit my act. I'll sprinkle some stuff here and there because I am about free speech, and if people have a problem with the things I say, I take complete ownership over it. But I also take into mind the people that are producing and booking the shows that put their necks out because, I did have a couple problems a couple of years ago with some things that I tweeted or whatever. And people say, no, Mike's a good guy. Use him. Like, everything that happened at Theater 3 with Port Jefferson.
Right. Yeah.
I tweeted something about Greta Thunberg and it was in Newsday and they banned me from the theater. And now, even up until 6 months ago, I got booked at a theater, and the booker said that the owner of the theater was contacted by Theater 3. And this is 3 years after this happened. He's still calling theaters that are booking me and saying, you shouldn't book Mike. He's a troublemaker, and he's a racist and a misogynist. And the guy who was booking it said, listen, I know Mike. I've worked with him. He's got a family-friendly act. You're going to love him. Give me a chance. The guy that owns the theater came with his wife, saw the show. It was a great show. And he's like, yeah, the guy's an asshole calling me up to try to get you,
Yeah.
What does this guy get out of trying to make me lose work?
Jeez, man. Yeah. So you know firsthand what it's like to get canceled because of that whole incident. And it was a couple years ago, right? That was before COVID and stuff.
It was right before COVID, and it was probably 6 months before COVID had happened, and I mean, on a much smaller scale than a lot of people, I was canceled, and the guy's still trying to cost me work, and I know there are still bookers that don't use me because of my Facebook persona, but that has nothing to do with
because of something you said about Greta Thunberg. That's what it was. Like,
exactly. And
you should be ashamed.
How dare you?
She made it, she's a public figure. We should be able to comment on it. And I wasn't even saying anything bad about her. My tweet was it was even just a throwaway tweet. When they called me to ask the booker of the Theater 3 called me and he's like, what happened? What'd you do? I had to look back in my tweets because I'm like, I don't see anything that would be considered, So what I said was, I feel bad for Greta Thunberg because when the Democrats are finished exploiting her, they're just going to ship her off to Epstein Island. And then,
how dare you?
And it was just like, and then everyone's writing Theater 3. Oh my God, you're not going to get raped on Epstein Island. No, I don't. Stupid joke about Democrats using people, and then when they're done with them, they throw them under the bus.
Yeah, you're tying it. It's called jokes, people.
Exactly.
God, man, everybody takes everything so literal and all that stuff, and but Jesus. So now when you go through something like that, when it's like written up in Newsday and it's out there, how do you handle that and rebound from something like that?
So the first thing that I did, Newsday called me up pretty much right away because what happened was the theater put it up on their Facebook page, and it just kind of went viral. People were commenting, and in the first day it had like 2,000 comments on it when the theater said Mike Keegan will never be allowed on our stage. First of all, I hadn't been there in a year, and I wasn't even supposed to be on the show for another year. So Newsday called me up and they asked me to write something. So just like a little commentary on what happened. So I wrote it and I immediately sent it to Carla because she's an attorney.
Right.
And she immediately sent it back to me and said, don't say any of this shit that I just said, because I went off. I went off on liberals and then the banning people and they're the racists. And so Carla kind of helped me edit it, what I was going to write. And it was in Newsday. And what I said, they have people that have season tickets at the theater. They're apparently the ones complaining. I'm like, they're a business like any other. They don't have to use me. I'm an independent contractor. If they don't want me there, fine. But you know what? They could have really just sent me a message and said, hey, we're not going to have you back here. They don't have to
Right,
put
yeah.
it on their Facebook page in all capital letters. So, and that was my whole thing.
That
That's
was
the
their
only
way
problem
of
that I had.
Yeah, that was like
Was,
their way of dragging you through town square
yeah,
naked and having everybody throw rocks at you or something.
it,
Like
it,
they
ex-
were they wanted
that's
to
what
make an
they
example of you. Yeah.
that's what they wanted to do. But what really happened was, I wrote that. I said I respect their decision, and when Newsday contacted them, they said no comments. So it made me look better because I'm like, here, this is what I have to say, and
Right.
this is, I don't have to explain myself to anybody. They're the ones not commenting, and then I'm like, the first thing I thought to myself, I'm like, how's this going to affect my work? How's this going to affect my bookings? But I had so many bookers and theater owners and especially governors right away say, listen, we want to book you right now to show these people that they're not going to control what kind of stuff goes on, off their comedy stage.
Right.
And
Yeah.
James, the owner of Governors, was the first one to reach out to me. He said, I'm booking you this weekend. I'm booking you next weekend. I want everyone to see that you're still working and this isn't affecting you. And I also want to show people that, you know what, if you're going to have comedy, do it in a comedy club.
Right on.
You know,
James
it's
is the
not,
man.
James is the best.
He's the
He's a
man.
great guy. He is a stand-up guy. He's the perfect person to be the face of the clubs because he's a classy guy and also the funniest freaking guy you'll ever meet in your life. I always say, I'm like, he is funnier than anybody that gets on that stage. Hanging out with him after the shows and having a couple drinks is like my favorite thing.
He's a solid dude, stand-up guy, and for him to do that to you when you were getting your nuts kicked in publicly
Yeah, exactly.
is just huge. I know he's did the same type of thing like for Louis C.K. and guys like that, and he does not believe in this cancel culture at all, and God bless guys like him. We need more guys like James.
It's everybody was like him, and there definitely are some other ones that were really good to me, but he was literally the first one to reach out to me. And that weekend, he booked me at McGuire's all weekend, and then I'm there all the time, and he's always been really good. So
how was the rest of the comedy community? Were they rallying around you, or
for the most part, somebody made a Mike Keegan Facebook page. I forget who made it, but it's like, we stand with Mike Keegan, and there really were not many comedians that didn't rally around me. There were a few, and they were outspoken, and a lot of them in the city, of course.
Right. Yeah.
But the only thing that kind of irked me a little bit, some of the comedians would come up to me at a club and be like, listen, I can't say it publicly, but I'm standing with you. I'm like, you know what? That's the problem.
Right,
If
exactly.
you said it publicly, if all these people that came up to me said, you were right, and this place should not do that, this is their careers also that they're talking about.
Yeah,
They could
because if
happen
a
to them.
joke, it could be a joke that they say, and because like what you said in your tweet was a joke. It was obviously a joke, and it was a funny one at that, because it was a setup, punch, tag. It was a perfect, and everybody in the comedy world could be a victim of that.
How dare you?
And it is common sense versus woke. I that's the one positive that came of this, is I really think conservative people and liberal people are now have a common bond against this nutty shit. Because like all of a sudden, like Bill Maher is like, a champion.
I'm watching Bill Maher. I'm like, you know what? He's right.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
like, again, who am I?
Yeah, exactly, man. And what's his name? Russell from
Russell
England.
Brand.
Russell Brand. These guys were like liberal. A couple of years ago, I would kind of roll my eyes, and now I'm like, yeah, let's go.
Because that's what happened. Even the hardcore lefties or the media crazy, they started coming after them, and they're like, oh, you know what? We're not safe just because we hate Donald Trump.
Right, exactly. It's more to it than that. It's definitely common sense versus woke, and the common sense people who didn't fully drink the Kool-Aid are starting to come around, and I feel like we're all, I feel like now we're seeing a big pushback on that.
Exactly. I get it. I understand not liking Trump. I get it. He was the same way in the 80s. We all knew what we were getting. So I get why you don't like him. But then, now that they're like, all right, we're going to get Trump they were originally super happy when they first got rid of Trump, but then they're like, oh, what the hell did we do with this guy?
It is freaking crazy, because you could say that the Bush era is is how we ended up getting Obama, because the pendulum swings back and forth. And then
Yeah.
Obama's the reason why we got Trump, right? But Biden doesn't make sense in this thing.
Not at all.
He doesn't make sense in anything, really. No, but he just doesn't. It doesn't equate that he's the most popular. He should be the most popular president ever. Well,
You would think, yeah.
off of the
But-
votes.
But you see, and you know, especially when Trump got elected. Oh, here we go, World War III. But you know what? We're inches away right now because of Biden.
Inches from the big one,
They-
man.
They don't fear us so much that they're just like, oh, here's a balloon. That's how they're gonna. You think they wouldn't send anything over here when Trump was in office. They're like, they're not gonna do anything. Send a balloon over there.
And then when we go over there, they lecture us and they they condescend us.
Exactly.
You know what I
There's
mean?
no-
They
like
would
you said, there's
never.
no balls.
Right.
This was an opportunity to speak very clearly and very directly about the fact that China sent a surveillance balloon over our territory, violating our sovereignty, violating international law. And I told him quite simply that that was unacceptable and can never happen again.
No balls, man. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. We're getting into another election year. China, I mean, a lot of stuff is brewing. It's scary, man. So we're in scary times, but but like I said, with this stuff, what you went through, did it make you gun shy as far as getting on stage and what you're going to say? Or
At first it did, but now that so many people are more outspoken about, we're going to say what we want to say, and this is our job. There's no animosity behind what I say. So I'm like, I'm going to say what I want to say. And if something happens, let it happen. I have a day job I fall back on, if they want to kick me out of comedy, but like I said, there's no animosity. If I make a joke about a certain group of people or anything, it's all joking around.
And that's it, man. And that's, people got to get their sense of humors back and understand that. I mean, like right now, fodder for jokes, for punchlines that's allowed is making fun of white guys, straight white men. And, honestly, it doesn't, haven't really been offended yet.
I have yet to be offended. I have yet to see a lot of witty stuff, but I also
you can they're allowed to make fun of us all day and night. Us and Trump. You can make fun of Donald Trump, and you can make fun of white men, white straight men all day and night.
Yeah.
And nobody cares, man. And then God forbid, that's why I always say, like, I feel like we're in a fight with both hands tied behind our backs, because they're allowed to make fun of us and say this and that, but if you retort, you're teetering on getting canceled or whatever.
Yep, and you're using your white privilege. That's what you're doing.
How dare you?
You could say whatever you want. You've had it so easy all these years being a white straight male. You don't know what it's like, so you're not allowed to have an opinion.
Yeah, I wish I believe, whatever. Is there white privilege? I don't know. I don't. If I've had it, I didn't know it, because I didn't.
I know. You know what? And you're fortunate enough to not know that you've had it. That's how good you've had it.
That's why now I tell people, I'm like, because I do have a little Filipino in me. So I people say, "What are you?" I go, "Well, I'm half Filipino." I lead with that now.
You go, exactly. Yeah, exactly. You don't know what my people have been through.
Yeah, we've had it rough, man. But also, I wanted to talk about your special. I know you recorded Captain America, almost a year ago, a couple months ago.
It was in August. It was actually on my birthday, August 27th.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and it was super fun. My friend John Moses, he's actually originally from Toronto. He's a Canadian comic. Now he lives in Jersey. He's got his own record label called Black Label Records. So he's starting it out. He's getting it kind of off the ground. So he called me up. He goes, he said, "Listen, I want to start shooting a couple of comedy specials." He's like, "I already have one in the can, and I want to get yours done." I've been working with him for years. He's a good guy. So he produced everything. He put all the money into it. He hired Joe Fernandez to run the audio and video stuff. He was a great comic, but also a great video guy. and he John put everything together. So they're still editing it. I have the full raw tape of it that I put in some snippets out on like TikTok and Instagram, and I'm happy with the way it came out.
Yeah, dude, I was watching a little bit of it on YouTube, some of the bits you did, and dude, hilarious, man. It was funny stuff. The what was it? The dating app for people with the STDs.
Oh yeah, that's a real thing. It's positive singles for people who have STDs.
That's awesome. And yeah, that whole bit was brilliant, man. The way you brought it all around and what you did to your friend, and it's just great, man.
My buddy Matt was over my house, and we were drinking a little bit, and he fell asleep. He left his phone out, so I signed him up for it. Signed Matt up for positive singles. Matt wakes up the next morning, he looks at his phone, he's got all these messages. He goes, positive singles, what the hell is this? I go, oh, it's just a dating site for single people who are very optimistic. Matt was doing great. He was going on dates. He was meeting girls. Matt died 2 weeks ago. He died happy.
And yeah, so it should be the final edit should be within like a month or two. And we're gonna try to get it on Sirius and on Amazon and stuff. So happy the way it came out. It was what I've never seen before. When we were filming about the taping was about 50 minutes, and about 30 minutes into it, I start seeing the waitress walk up to the stage. And I'm like, why is she walking up to the stage? I'm like, we're recording. And she walks up to the stage and like calls me over. I'm like, what's going on? She's like, we're backed up in the kitchen. We need you to go a little bit longer. I'm like, I'm filming. This guy paid all this money for me to have it. And she was very new, so I didn't make a big deal of it.
Right. Yeah.
And, we can obviously edit it out. But I'm like, right in the punchline of one of my big jokes.
Oh, man.
She walks up.
Oh my
God!
Yeah.
Thank God we can edit everything. But I'm like, I've never seen that before.
You definitely gotta keep that in the bloopers though, like in the
yeah.
At the end when the credits are running. Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't know. I did not have the strength in my heart to tell my poor innocent mother that she just bought her only child, her sweet baby boy, a pair of shower whack-off gloves.
And finally, what are you most proud of?
Not to keep on comedy stuff, but I really think sticking to comedy. It's a shitty business for the most part. A lot of terrible people you meet, a lot of rejection. But I've been doing it 11 years now, and I don't make a living doing it. I still have a day job, but I have fun. I've met a lot of great people, and I've had small sniffs of success, I guess, and I met people like you and some great people, and having fun with it.
And right back at you, man. And there is something to it when people say it's the journey, and it's a blast, and to me, you're one of the top dogs on the scene right now, and you keep on getting stronger and stronger, and you're climbing up the ranks, man. So it's awesome.
It's easier to climb after losing 75 pounds too. So.
There you go. Yeah, so all of a sudden you climb a little faster.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully things start working out a little bit better now. But thank you. I really appreciate that. Thanks. It means a lot coming from you.
For real.
Everything you do. You're a talented guy. You're a nice guy. Everything you do is funny. All the stuff that you do, I think, is hilarious. And
thanks, man. It means a ton, and right back at you, brother. So now, what do you got coming up next? This is going to air probably in about 2 weeks. These come out every Friday. So I don't know if you have any dates in late March that you could announce, or and also tell everybody where they could see you and follow you and all that stuff.
Sure. I put all my dates up on Facebook, so just Mike Keegan on Facebook, or HERSCHY and the KEEGS. We promote all our episodes and all our comedy dates on there. Late March, I'll probably I know March 31st I'm at Governor's. Carla, it's Carla and Tim's show. I don't forget what it's called. No,
why are we like this?
This? Yeah. It's their show. It's their first live show of the podcast. So I'm going to be doing a spot on that show. That's going to be the first thing in late March. April 1st, I'll be at the Newtown Theater in Pennsylvania with Rich Voss, who's one of my favorite comics and
awesome.
was way before I even got into comedy. So that'll be cool. It was the coolest thing because like he actually asked for me to open for him, and I was always a fan of him, so that was kind of exciting. So I'm looking forward to that. And then the middle of April, I forget the exact dates, but it's always a Friday and Saturday. I'll be at the Comedy Cove in Springfield, New Jersey, with Fred Rubino, who's another cool guy.
Yeah, man, he rocks.
That's funny. Yeah, he's great. And
He's a
funny,
like-minded guy. He's one of us.
He's one of us. Exactly. And another just sweet guy. And Gene and L'Oreal, who own the Comedy Club, are the two sweetest people in the world at the Comedy Cove in Springfield. So those are really the dates I'd like to push and have people come out for, because those are going to be great shows.
Awesome, man. Well, Mike, thanks again for doing this. I'm glad we finally got you on here, and we gotta get you back more often, bro.
Anytime. I'd love to do it, and we'll have you on the show, on the Hershey and the KEEGS show, and always love working with you, and you're a great guy.
Right back at you, brother. Thanks again. Mike Keegan, everybody, check him out.
Thank you very much.